And we're back again for a second hour of broadcast here today on LIB Radio. We have a very special guest joining us in our second hour on the Skype line, joining us from metropolitan Atlanta, Osset City, as we've come to call it around here. Just returned from another one of his whirlwind tours of the African continent. Let us welcome your brother, our brother, Brother Bomani Akwaba. Welcome to the conversation today, Brother Bomani.
Greetings, family. This is Bomani Temba, live here in South Atlanta. And just excited to be on here. Appreciate the energy, Kitty. How's everything going?
Kitty is actually doing very, very well. My energy is doing great. I always love the conversations you and I have when we get together, because the conversations, the dialogues that you and I talk about center around one of our very favorite topics, and that is the sustainable future development of the African continent.
Absolutely. For myself, that's the only future I really see. Then everyone else have their views of things. But it is a big movement also for a sustainable future. We see companies all over the world, manufacturers are making products supporting sustainable living, renewable energy, and so on. And it's perfect for the continent. You're talking about nature, you're talking about an abundance of land that you can just build into nature. We're talking about the science of permaculture. That's also what we're looking to expand on when we do our tours, the annual May journey, as we spend 3 days up in the Bronghapo region.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been focusing all week long on a series of dialogues for my upcoming book, the book coming out in just about a month. That should be going to the printer. I expect it to be returned from the printer by the beginning of African History Month. The book called Futurenomics, and we've been talking about Africa rising and the spectrum of advantages that's available for those who want to synchronize their future to that of an African continent that is emerging from 500, 600 years and more of destruction, of exploitation, of theft of the people, theft of the natural resources, the manipulation of African governance. Africa is emerging from all of that, Brother Bomani. And you know something? Even many of my Pan-African friends and associates, they don't believe me.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to see what is there not to believe. Unless they completely just focus on America and not look at what's going on in Africa and see all the nations of the different Asian nations, they're overbidden and outbidden the European nations and America in all aspects of development and investment. It's been going on for a good while, but especially in the last 10 years, since I've been traveling to Ghana, I've seen this firsthand. Since I started going there December of 2006, you see influx of more foreign investments. At one point, there's a company that I didn't know nothing about. It was Tata Motors out of India, and over the decade, they have positioned themselves as a major company to more and more people buying those vehicles. Same thing as the Asian countries you see less European vehicles. It's an ongoing force, and the world powers have seen that Africa is a continent where you have the last frontier for savvy investors.
Yeah, we're going to see so many changes. Now, part of the mission of Africa for the Africans.org has been to bring people to Africa, not only to tour, to see the beauty, to have magnificent experiences while there, and the experiences are awesome, but also to prepare people for investing in Africa, for investing in land, in government-backed securities, investing in business partnerships. There are a lot of opportunities. Can you talk to the people about the opportunities for creating new levels of entrepreneurship in their own individual life successes? Better entrepreneurship opportunity exists in African countries than in many places in America.
Yeah, perfect. And a great example of that is I made an initial journey in December of 2006, and then we did the second tour, which we connected on, and your great connection from the beginning of 2007 up until we went on the journey itself in October 2007. And that's when we designed that repatriation and investment conference, develop a wealth of knowledge of all of the wonderful things and the vision I saw there in Ghana as as I moved around the country. So one of the best things that we worked out was to get our peers who had all of the experience in the country, Imacus, David, and many of their peers, to explain and share with us in a conference as far as the full aspects of living and doing business in the country. So some of the representation were representation from the banking industry. Also, we had one or two lawyers, and they explained all the legal aspects of how it works, as far as the paperwork, as far as registering your business, getting things set up, and being clear as far as how to move along, getting your bank account, and being clear on land investment. And beyond that, we had representation from the Ghana Investment Promotion, which can back you at even a higher level of investment, and they share their different programs that they have as far as how to attain citizenship. And these are all of the key things, and a whole lot more, as we had different people that represent people coming from different parts of the Caribbean who have made a certain move, and the experience that they've had, they've shared. And I'm proud to this. I've recorded a majority of these conference and presentation, and I have them in one section of our YouTube page on the Repatriation Investment Conference. And these are the things that I've explained. These are things that I've learned over the period of time while I was being at the conference, and learned the whole process of how to move along in the country. Historically, we have went to countries like Ghana and enjoyed a roots and culture tour and eco-tourism. But one of the most important things is the future of the country. You're looking at an incredible African country that those of us in the African diaspora that's looking to live and do business in an African country, this is very ideal. And I've done many research before I even came to this point, and it's all paying off to just be one of the best places we can actually just make a move. And number one, we have so much of our own brothers and sisters that's doing wonderful things, and they're already there at the business conference and around the country on our itinerary, and that's in general to connect and partner up with those of us. And as a matter of fact, over the period of time, we have built many great and wonderful connections, and we continue to work in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, and just keeping it going, and just want to share and connect with as many people as we can.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, you were referring to an African country. At this point, it's still a continent. Speaking in the future, my best data shows that we can expect to call Africa a nation after the year 2051 with the inauguration of the Confederation of African States.
Oh, excellent.
But between here and there, over the course of the next 35 years, Brother Bomani, towards this achievement, this conquering of this high mountain that we call Africa Rising, between here and there, there's a lot of work yet to be done, Brother Bomani.
Oh yeah, it's a lifetime of work, and that's why we had to just get on in and then just keep building and keep building, and and keep a foundation going as we continue to build from generation to generation. But there has to be a point where we begin to just look at the focus on being a part of the development and future of Africa. If we look at the last 100 years, we think of Marcus Garvey, we think of W.B. Du Bois, we think of many figures, and we see a limited amount of our intellectual, our so-called leaders, and people who are supposed to have vision to guide us, that have reached out and say we should focus some aspects of repatriation and build a future on the African continent. I'm not saying that there aren't movements and things going on, and there's no six regions and so on. There's many things going on, but my view is always saying that that movement has always been relegated to the back, and there's been just a minor push, if at all, a push throughout the decades of the last 100 years. One of the biggest figure of inspiration was always Marcus Garvey, as far as us taking advantage of the opportunity to reconnect with our own brothers and sisters and really build and be a part of the future of a continent that can circumvent and offer opportunity for those of us in African diaspora and the African continent in the future as a major power of the world. And that dream and that vision was definitely an incredible one. And people like ourselves and many other small segments of group of people are working towards that. And as we begin to grow and grow, our goal is to really just put things in place. That way, more and more of our brothers and sisters from the African diaspora can really see that vision come to life. And that's why it was so important that we acquired the land in center of Ghana in the Bronghafa region to really build a foundation and dedicate it to our repatriation.
I got a note. Chinzira, she says, the Pan-African associates, quote unquote, you just referenced who failed to believe you regarding Africa's rising are Western Hemisphereans wearing the cloak of Pan-Africanism. And that's her diplomatic reversion, respect. Brother Bomani, have you ever run into people who profess to be black nationalists and or Pan-Africans who kind of refuse to believe all of these optimistic positions that you talk about with regard to Africa's current and future development? The people who still want to argue about all of the negative things that they know about Africa. Have you run into that?
Yeah, I used to run into people like that, and after a while, I guess they started running back in the alley where they came from. You always hear them talking about how much we built this, and not saying that African people weren't an important, integral part of the building of America. We always tell people that if we feel so strongly about that we have built America, that means that we can be a great part of building the future of Africa, where it'll be a continent that we'll have some level of investment in, versus what we consider here as we built this, we don't have or have a lack of ownership when it comes to what is considered capital or real estate and power. The thing of it is, it's just unfortunate, and sometimes people use their knowledge and or information that they've read just to make it seem like there's nothing that can be done. But the reality of it is, we have a wide future, and we just have to step up to the game and make those sacrifices, because we can't expect to, make that leap and make that growth if we don't give up certain things. So a lot of things that, we're tied into in America, we're going to have to give up. Some of the things would be your jobs, the holidays, family, friends, and, and realize that our connection to the African continent is going to be a dedication for the future of our world, to where we can secure a foundation for our people. More and more people are reaching out to me, and they're saying, what is the future of America? What's going to happen to them? What should we do? And I'm always explaining to them, Ghana is one option, but I don't know all these answers.
Brother Bomani, you, in what you just said, you just triggered another paragraph or another chapter or subchapter in my upcoming book, Futurenomics. And here's what you said, and here's how I interpreted it. You talked about, we were kind of bringing up this skeptical group. I refer to them as Afro-pessimists, and that many of them will say, and accurately so, that we built the Great Pyramids. We built Egyptian civilization. We built the structures that formulated the wealth of the entire Western Hemisphere.
Right.
And they would be accurate. The African labor, unpaid African labor, and African scientific expertise in areas like growing rice, in other agricultural areas, in architecture. Who was it that they called upon to lay out the structure of Washington, D.C., but Benjamin Banneker? Look at George Washington Carver's contribution to sustainable ecology, sustainable agriculture, introducing crop rotation to the South and saving a cotton-dependent industry. We built the wealth of this hemisphere. Yes, you are right. Here's my question to them, Brother Bomani. Well, why not build Africa even better?
Absolutely. So great minds think alike. That's how I come at folks. And people like ourselves, we're part of that growth continuously. So we're leading by example. We're not just talking about building Africa. We're doing the best we can as far as making those connections, putting things in place, doing investments in the country, and and there's many things that all of us can do, even on a small scale.
That's
But the plan is for us to really just start focusing outside of the box, and and look at the lies, and look at the misguidance that we have had, and look at where we have been, look at where we are now, and and is this what our ancestors fought and died for? Did they want us to just be happy slaves in America, or did they want us to return the greatness of the African continent and reconnect back with our brothers and sisters?
That's right. There's a caller, our first phone call for today's program, and we always welcome you, our listening audience, to participate in the conversation. Area code 954. We have you up. You're on with Brother Bomani Tayemba from Africa for the Africans. Area code 954. Give us your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Sister Keisha, and I'm in South Florida, and I just came from the tour with Brother Bomani.
Welcome,
Greetings, my sister Keisha. One of my awesome.
Hey, Brother Bomani. I've been enjoying you.
Very much.
You're representing.
That's right.
Listen, I haven't given you a formal testimonial, but I had to call in. I had the time when I saw your post. I was like, I have to call to let yourself and all the listeners know that the tour is definitely worth every bit of it. Mm-hmm. Every bit of the experience, the cultural experience, and the repatriation and investment experience. If you're serious about repatriating, you'll get what you need from the tour, because we had the cultural experience. We went to the slave dungeons. I mean, all of that was happening, but when we went into the repatriation and investment component, and we really learned that, I mean, I live in Pembroke Pines. It's $350,000 to buy a home here. When you go to Ghana and you get a little less than an acre of land for $3,000, and you buy the raw material and build your home, you're spending less than $50,000. It's your home.
Yeah.
Okay, it's your home. And, I was talking to my mentor, Yeye Fini, who we spent some time at One Africa with Sister Imacus, and Yeye Fini and Imacus are very close. And, we were talking about the experience, and she says, we're all trying to find a bit of happiness in a cesspool here in America. And when she said that, it kind of struck a chord in me, because when I was in Africa, brother, I was looking to see what the crime was like. I turned on the television. You see a lot of news about the politics. There was nothing saying there was no road rage. It wasn't hostile. The energy wasn't hostile.
So very true.
I mean, I don't know. I told my girlfriend the other night, I felt like somebody pushed like a melanin activation button in the back of my head by my spine, because being there, I just felt so free. And there's a lot of love there, a lot of love at home.
Was this your first trip to the continent?
It was my first trip. I was with my husband as well. It wasn't my husband's first trip. My husband actually spent a little over a month in Ghana previously.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been telling me for years, because we're originally from Jamaica, and he's been saying to me, we've been talking about possibly moving to Jamaica, and every time I go to Jamaica, and I never want to leave, and he says, listen to me, wait until you go to Africa, wait till you get to Ghana, you're not going to want to leave, you're going to, and he was, I mean, since this tour, we're going back again in May, like just on our own, because we have some things to take care of for our repatriation efforts. But
awesome.
I was overwhelmed with love and joy, and I feel like coming back to America and talking about the experience to people who are not vibrating on that level, it's really difficult, because this is real glossy. This illusion in America is real glossy. Things look nice. You can, but everything that's here is on the continent as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's not but this idea, so many people have said to me, because what I was doing was I was posting pictures and videos ongoingly, and so many people have called and messaged me and said they feel more likely to want to take the trip because they know someone like myself who did it, and I enjoyed myself. Like, prior to seeing me have this experience, people are saying to me they were skeptical. They watch the news and they think, like when I was going over there, people kept saying to me, oh, just be careful, don't get into any coops, don't get caught up in a coop. And I'm like, what coop? There's no coop.
That is hilarious.
Like, what's this?
everybody always got one of those
Messages
horror
from
stories of
Bomani.
what people tell them.
Brother Bomani, you were
Yeah,
saying?
I was like,
Oh no, I'm saying it's one of those things where you always have at least several people who tell you these crazy stories about that what people tell them, and I don't know if people think that they are protecting them by telling them all of these negative things. Just like there were certain demonstration in Togo, and people kept on posting on my Facebook, don't go to Togo, don't go to Togo. They're fighting over there. That's like
Yeah.
nothing was happening in Togo. Togo is so beautiful.
It's so quiet.
Yeah, Togo got some of the biggest
Very
potholes.
peaceful,
Togo had some of the biggest potholes in the streets I've ever surfed through. Boy, that bus ride through Togo is wild.
Well, all of the main roads are fixed that we traveled on that weren't fixed.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great venture to Ghana, Togo, Benin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And, even traveling in Jamaica,
thank you.
up into the mountains in Jamaica, those roads with the hairpin turns and the potholes, those roads are wild as well. But you laugh, you smile, you have fun every minute of the journey. Continue. Bomani, did you want to...
Well, the whole time...
Oh, no, I'm good. Keisha, go ahead. Continue.
Keisha.
Well, I was going to say the whole time that I was in Ghana, I kept saying the roads are nicer than Jamaica and the money is better than Jamaica because, it's 1 to 128 the dollars right now in Jamaica. So to Ghana is 1 to 4. I was like, yes, the dollar is stronger.
Yeah, 1 to 4. Remember, Bomani, when we used to go before they revalued the currency, a person from America could become a millionaire in Ghana on the first day of arriving there.
It was like 1 to 10,000, right?
Yeah, it was 1 to 10,000. So if
And
you
then it
spent
got
like something like
redenominated
$200 or
to 1 to 1.
$300 converting to Jamaican CDs, you become a millionaire. I still have one of those 10,000 CD notes.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
I haven't seen
But
one of
thanks
those
for
forever.
having me call in, Brother Bomani.
So
Oh,
Keisha,
no, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Share with something. There's many other aspects of your there's many other aspects of your journey that you can share.
earlier, Keisha, Bomani and I were talking about coastal living in Ghana. You, I believe, had a chance to stay at One Africa, Sister Iamicus, there on the Ghana Cape Coast region.
Oh, my God.
Or Gold Coast region. What are your perspectives
Cape
about
Coast.
what you witnessed at in the Cape Coast region at One Africa?
Cape Coast?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, ironically, that you're asking me that. That's why we're going back in May, because that's where we're going to make our home.
Why?
I mean, loved it.
Why would anybody want to live? Why would Keisha? Why would anybody possibly want to live on a beach in Africa that's pretty much unoccupied, loaded up with palm and coconut trees? Why would anybody want to live there?
Thank you. Exactly. And guess what? I slept on the hammock. I fell asleep like at 2 in the morning. My safety was not even a thought. I didn't even think, oh my gosh, I should be afraid. It's so peaceful. And you could feel, honestly, on a spiritual level, you can feel the energy of the ancestors right over there. They're just still, they're surrounding that space so tremendously. It's such a big energy. It's so majestic. Just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, Keisha, you got Kitty missing One Africa. I think your last time was October 2009, right?
Yeah, boy, do I miss it. I've been planning to go every year, but sometimes my
go.
money get funny. But this year, I'm definitely going to be going with you. And if not more than once, I'm going to be definitely making the autumn trip that you make every year. And hopefully we'll be seeing Keisha and her husband either on that trip with us, or we'll be able to visit their new home.
Excellent. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's so beautiful.
So I'll see you soon, Brother Bomani, in May.
All right. Thank you so much, Keisha, for calling up and sharing your voice on your libradio.com. Tell your friends to tell their friends we have our own now. We can project our own voice. We welcome you to the LIB Radio family, beloved.
All right. Appreciate your energy, my sister. Definitely link up.
Okay.
All right.
One love, yes.
One love. Great call. We encourage other people. If you've traveled to Africa and had a similar experience that Keisha has shared, or you may have a different experience. Hey, Bomani, I've seen people go to Africa, and after being there for 1 or 2 weeks, All they can think about is, I want to get back to America. Brother Bomani, I remember one day in Accra, we had traveled all around the country, Kosambo, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Elmina, and all that. We got back to Accra, and we passed a fried chicken store. Oop.
Did he get some chicken?
You know me, I ain't messing around. But do you remember what I'm talking about? What happened when we passed a fried chicken store? What happened?
Some people wanted chicken.
They didn't want chicken. They said, "Stop the bus." You saw it. They got almost violent. Stop the bus. We didn't even hesitate. We said, "Oh, there's gonna be a major riot going on in the back of the bus. Stop this bus."
That was 8 years ago. You
Driver
remember that?
had to stop. They had to pull up in front of that fried chicken joint. And a significant number of the people who have been eating some of the purest, cleanest vegetarian, vegan, and seafoods for the past 2 weeks or so, or upwards of 2 weeks, they had to get off and be reminded of being in America. Something about that chicken, Brother Bomani. Something about that chicken.
One year I just had this lady, she's told me straight up that she eats chicken every day.
Why?
And I was telling her that this is part of our program, a more organic, natural lifestyle. So, it's unbelievable the amount of reaction you get, and it's more than just herself. We have to come to terms to where even grow this a little bit. Like, if you're eating this thing every day, 7 days a week, like one day a week, can you get away from it one day? You and I talk about this, even just getting away little by little. But people are so addicted.
Yeah, it is. It's not just the food. It's not just the chicken. But we are addicted to Western culture, Western Hemisphereization. And we want things to be as much for us as we perceive to be from watching TV and everything for other ethnic groups living in America. All of that is well and good. But what you and I are suggesting is, if we take what we have learned in our generation and the 20 generations that were enslaved and brought to build the Western Hemisphere from the ground up, we could be building greater than that for our children and grandchildren. Now, for many of us who repatriate to Africa at this stage right now, Brother Bomani, we'll have to get used to things like bird baths. We'll have to get used to things to going to use a public bathroom that doesn't really have the type of sanitation facilities to flush and the smell go away and all that stuff that we're accustomed to. We may have to do some trenching every now and then. That we may have to make some personal adjustments, quote-unquote self-sacrifices in this generation. But Brother Bomani, what I am saying is, we could give to the next 100 generations of African-born people, heritage people on this planet, we could give to the next 100 of the generations the greatest that the planet has ever known. Am I lying?
No, that's the best thing to do. I mean, when you leave a legacy, you build a foundation. If you leave nothing for, the next generation, your children, the future to build upon, we can't expect to ever grow or build anything. Simple science, but more so we just got to keep it practical and start making those sacrifices right now to make sure that we have our future in place to where they can keep on growing, give them all the right tools in place. We see a situation in Zimbabwe with a president that's been in office and an elder, and even situations like that, we have to realize that we can only go so farther, and we can only run so long. Just like myself, I can only just, you're only in your prime age at a certain point to where after a while you really have to pass the torch and really have to just set the future up and keep it going.
And there is a tremendous opportunity with that soft coup there in Zimbabwe. One of the most beautiful things about it was there was no violence, other than a few people, quote unquote, rioting in the streets. The death toll, there was no big death toll from that. The challenge will be ongoing because the West is still trying to get Morgan Tsvangirai there in place. But amid all of that, Brother Bomani, I never heard anyone else other than here on LIB Radio report that in the midst of all of that, there was a bridge being built at a cost of 259 million American dollars in the Quad Points region, where Zimbabwe bucks up right up against Zambia, Namibia, and Botswana. It's called the Quad Points, 4 African countries, and Angola thrusts into that area just about 80 kilometers away. That this bridge building built called Kazangula from Namibia to Botswana will join the economies of those 4 countries together at the Zambezi River, the single river on the African continent with the highest hydroelectric potential. Brother, if you can imagine all of that happening while this soft coup just went down in Zimbabwe, could you imagine that there's a chance to go to that very point and build the next Black Wall Street?
Absolutely. Everything is in place to make it happen. The African continent is perfect. We got to step our game up and start making those moves. Just like, you've seen our energy in Ghana. Other folks, I'm sure, is in other countries. But, we just got to keep making a move.
That's right. And be bold, be deliberate about our moves. And we've also got to be much better informed about the moves that we make. I just want to have you talk about that. How well informed do you believe that the majority of people of African heritage in the United States are about the potentials of the African continent that you and I are describing today? Do you believe, how well informed do you believe them to be?
Oh, wow. That's a rough question. I would say very little informed. With things that yourself doing, myself and other people, that awareness becomes a lot more. So even at one point where there was no YouTube or social media wasn't out there like that, and more so that gave people like myself advantage to just upload our highlights of videos, business investment conferences, being in different parts of Africa, doing different things, experiencing the different countries, and just sharing with people the experience. Even so, that's still not enough. And even what other people are doing, or even historically the different African organization dedicated to educating us about Africa and study groups, it's still we're still not even well informed, because we find ourselves where the people that are sometimes the most conscious ones, when we talk about investments and things in Africa, they tend to be overshadowed by what they feel like they can possibly do in America.
Yeah. So very true. So we're going to do our best to continue informing people. Africa for the Africans.org is going to continue this blazing record of taking people to Africa. I just feel more and more excited the more I study all of this, brother. Again, this series that we're doing here on LIB Radio, we started it last week, and I'm going to continue this through the week. There's just so much information. And the reason I'm doing this, Brother Bomani, and you may know this. Well, let me just ask you this. Let me just answer a question, because I consider you to be one of the best informed Pan-African people I know. When did you first, and where did you first hear it from, Africa Rising?
Brother Kidi Awadu, Conscious Rasta, LIB Radio. That's, as a matter of fact, for the most part, all the times I've heard that word or terminology came from yourself, direct conversation, or just information that you have put out there.
Since you first started hearing Africa Rising, how deep does this narrative go from your understanding? Now, you were seeing many of these components firsthand, and then you hear that there is this big economics-driven and historiological-driven narrative called Africa Rising. Conferences taking place on college campuses every year in Europe and America called Africa Rising. Magazine covers, news articles. You can go to economics research foundations, and they're all using those two words, Africa Rising. Since you heard about it, just how deep and profound is this concept called Africa Rising in your own perspectives?
It's incredible, because it's the inevitable. It's like, we can be held back only so long, but this has always been the energy and the vision and the fight of our people, which is to organize the minds, thought, to build the future of Africa and really put it in place. And you know, all the things that all of us are doing, but it's a phenom that still more and more of our people just are now aware. As you know, we begin to build that awareness. You know, especially when we do these, you know, the Ghana, Togo, Benin tour, and that's basically just link our people to 2 weeks, you know, experience along the, you know, entire coast of all three countries, and that's the future there. Africa rising, and just, you know, want to just really just keep linking our people to different aspects of what's going on, and as we begin to put ourselves more in place of living on the continent and being more underground, we look to even draw and share more with our people the different aspects of what we as a people can do. Sometimes we just really have to show our people what we're doing and, you know, how we can do it, and, you know, they you know, open their minds up. Other than that, you know, it's, you know, most of the people we're talking about they're living somewhat straight up this comfort zone to where they're not going to budge unless I guess even in certain situations some people are not going to budge, but our goal is just to open things up to those who can see the vision. Other than that, we have enough going on the continent. You have a whole lot of children being born every year, and, you know, so we begin to just invest more on the continent as time go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, so very important. Do you believe, Brother Bomani, that this Africa Rising is the lifeboat for many people of African heritage living in the United States? I mean, when we look at parts of whole cities, West End in Atlanta, there are parts of West End in Atlanta within 10 minutes of the downtown economic epicenter of the city. There are parts of West End Atlanta where black people live that's all boarded up neighborhoods, and you can find neighborhoods just like it in Baltimore and Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia and Detroit and Houston and all across the land, Chicago and Kansas City. Is that true, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. All over the nation. So
could Africa Rising and repatriation be a lifeboat for people living in the severely depressed areas of America's major economic centers?
Absolutely, and the reason why I say that is, you know, when you're really looking at the possible development of the continent, when you're putting in factories throughout the continent, you're talking about providing the average person with, you know, a wealth of just employment, or just when you think of this building different communities, you begin to just, you know, enrich the continent, enrich the people, and that's one of the biggest difference. You know, here it's a situation where you're stuck. So what is really the future? I just wish more focus open up and not just look at what's going on right now, but look at the vision of this once more and more things get in place, because we're looking at, you know, content that's growing, and that's one of the biggest difference. I'm not sure if we have, you know, there's negative growth in America, but we see where we as a people, African descent, are not getting, not progressing to a level where we're building in a level of ownership, or a level of where we have a certain identity, and it's just we're becoming a part, morphing a mixed society of confusion.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. How many African countries have you had a chance to visit now?
All right, 9 African countries: Senegal, the Gambia, Ghana, Togo, Benin, South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, and Ethiopia.
Wow. Give us your reflections of some of these areas. You and I had the incredible privilege this year in May of 2017, Brother Bomani, to have an all expenses paid trip to Ethiopia. Your reflections on that trip?
Absolutely. Ethiopia, once I went around the country and even went to Shashamani, became automatically my second favorite country, to Ghana. Ethiopia, you know, one of the most impressive is the Aviation Academy. You know, being an aviation student from, you know, 18 years old to 28 years old, from military to airlines, doing aircraft maintenance, and just being in that world, and just going to Ethiopian Airlines, the academy, and going to going to their facility, where they train pilots and technicians and crew, and then seeing all of the sample part of the aircraft for training. It was just incredible. It reminded me of just being there here in Atlanta at the Delta headquarters. And once I started just learning more and more about the contributions to Ethiopian aviation, and then they've been in business from the get-go, and as one of the strongest fleet airlines in the world. And just being there just inspired me as far as when we talk about Black Power, and you're talking about a country with its own airlines, airports around the entire country, run by predominantly young Ethiopians. Like I've never seen pilots that young in my life. It's incredible. And then beyond this, that just going along the countryside, to where one of the things that stuck out is that even in certain shacks, even in the desert, I noticed everybody had power or power lines running everywhere. And I guess it's a situation where Ethiopia offers or sell power to a few other countries. But just just learning about all those things, and then just going to an environment at Shashamani land where remind me of just a tropical, nice setting up. Just remind me of just a little Jamaica.
And you probably saw a lot of Jamaicans there in Shashamani land as well, huh?
Exactly. Yes. Different people from the Caribbean. Interview a few of them. Restaurants. That cultural energy, and just wanted to even just explore more and just be there longer and just learn about some of the things that but you definitely see a level of investments everywhere you go, and the same thing just around Ethiopia. One of the things I see them expanding in is just the flow of aviation across Africa, training different countries, flight crew. We can learn a lot from countries like Ethiopia as far as the independence and just fighting off the colonizers from colonize their country, and just in every way showing resilient, and to where now there's so much. Everyone is just growing food all over the country, to where when you go out, there's just food in abundance. So I'm always confused when people talk about the starving people in Ethiopia. That's like one of the least places I literally didn't. That's like as a matter of fact, you were there with me. You can be my witness. You didn't see a bunch of starving people or children, and we literally went around the country. We went.
Well, there has been of recent years a drought in certain regions of Ethiopia, and as we traveled around the nation, we had to jump on and off of airplanes. That's seemed like every day, or at least every other day, we were flying again. And because Ethiopia is such a mountainous region in the highlands of the whole Rift Valley system, there you can have the isolation of groups, and if that coincides with droughts, then you can see these famines can develop there. And these famines in Ethiopia have been historic, and there has been this concern about the famines. The last time I checked, I think that the rains this past year were good rains, and so that is a good indication. But isn't that also opportunity, where we see a country with such a production abundance, one of the youngest populations on the planet, Ethiopia now manufacturing automobiles, Ethiopia getting ready to build its own space rocket to send its own Ethiopian manufactured communication satellite into orbit. Tremendous amount of opportunity. As you can recall, this year the donation that We the Living in Black family, LIB family, were able to make was a stack of highly advanced college textbooks that we delivered to the Ethiopian professors there to be able to utilize to educate their children to some of the cutting edge of Western technology.
Yes, absolutely, Kitty. I was there with you, and I always appreciate the energy of seeing how you connect and just bringing things and not just coming empty-handed, and making those quality connections and keeping things flowing. So that was just one of the memorable journeys, and between Ghana, Ethiopia, and just all the other countries in general I've traveled to. This has just been an incredible experience. And just look to keep on traveling to more countries, connecting more with our people, play more part of the investment aspect as to acquire land, build our own sustainable community, and just be able to reach out to our own brothers and sisters, and to connect with us as far as this nation building aspect of just building and growing what we need.
Mm-hmm. Let me touch on this. Is a bit controversial, so if you want to smack some people, I'll take responsibility for giving you the opportunity to smack some people. But right now, we're seeing amongst many African Americans who have spare cash are spending a lot of that on Bitcoin mania. And
oh my God.
And they're talking about how, I'm blowing up, I'm making all this money. Okay, I'm going to give you that. But here's the thing. You're a technician. You know about the blockchain. And cryptocurrencies have a great future. It's obviously going to replace electronic currency and paper cash transition in the future. Yeah, we can accept all of that. But this Bitcoin mania is blown out of proportion. But here's what I'm saying, Brother Bomani. For those who are making all this money in Bitcoin, if your profits only remain figures on an electronic ledger, that's not real money. But if you take those numbers, those increasing numbers on electronic ledger, and you convert it to land, what as you are doing as members of Africa for the Africans are doing collectively, if they convert that land to money to land in Africa, what would happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's real wealth, and I think you're basically saying that that system they're talking about is not backed by anything.
It's not real.
It's not backed by anything real. We're talking about money backed by gold currency or certain other resources.
Even coconuts. If you back your money with coconuts, that's more real than Bitcoin. It sounds like a joke, doesn't it? Or better than coconuts, cocoa processing facility. Take that Bitcoin money and process cocoa seeds and manufacture chocolate in West Africa. They could do that. That's more real.
Yeah, so people are looking for something to get lucky with in the future if they hold on to it long enough.
But if they get sucked into a MLM-driven, multi-level marketing-driven pyramid Ponzi scheme, will they be? I didn't associate that with Bitcoin yet. But if people get sucked into a MLM-driven, because everybody I know who's been doing MLM, almost everybody, has moved over to Bitcoin now. But if they get sucked into a pyramid-driven Ponzi scheme, what could possibly happen, as opposed to if they get out at the peak of that, and the peak appeared to be last Sunday. This thing is moving downward now since last Sunday. What could happen if they got out of that now and put that money into land? Tell them what you're building over there. Maybe they'll understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I would say come to Techiman, the Brown Hapa region, and spend about $500-600 to get you a quarter acre of property, which is a plot. And use that to build your own sustainable home, which will have people available to assist you in building that home for you. And you can use it as timeshare, a rental, a vacation home, or you can use it as your permanent home to get away from just being here all your life. And it's you're talking about an investment that that you're gonna have, that you can pass it along to your family. So it's like a real investment. It's so real. You can put your hands on it. You can feel it. You can see it.
It's real. Wait a minute, Bomani. Let me put this in context. The Bitcoin people are really mad at me. They could even arguing with me now. They just LOL me. But let me put this in context. You say for a quarter acre of land, $500 to $600. Brother Bomani, this thing called Bitcoin, if a person purchased a Bitcoin ledger share, because I'm not even calling it real. You're not getting a coin. You're getting numbers. If they purchased a ledger Bitcoin in January of this year, it would have been $740. Last Sunday, it peaked at over $19,000. And right now, it's probably between $15,000 and $17,000. It literally is fluctuating daily by $2,000 to $3,000. So just, Brother Bomani, in that daily fluctuation of Bitcoin is very unstable. If they had taken, say, an average fluctuation of about $2,400, you're saying they could have purchased an acre and a half of land with just today's fluctuation in the so-called value of a Bitcoin?
Absolutely, and spend about 20 to 30,000 billion on a nice, two-bedroom house.
So they could, in the daily fluctuation, could get an acre and a half, and then if the thing goes back up to 19,000 or higher, one guy today said it's going to 50,000. I say, I can't even imagine it. But that stuff is getting crazy. It's a pyramid scheme until the Beanie Babies could have bought people a house a decade or so ago. Before that, pet rocks. So they could sell one Bitcoin and build a house? No way, Bomani, you're making that up.
Wow, Bitcoin that expensive? Wow.
They could sell one Bitcoin or two right today, but in the future, if it goes up, they could sell one and build a house on an acre and a half in a booming growth region. How far from Accra, the capital of the nation, is the Brown Upper region?
Yeah, this one is further away. This one is 7 hours. It's 3 hours away from Kumasi.
Mm-hmm. And how are the roads? How are the roads?
The roads getting up there is good. This one thing about Ghana, the main roads are good going up into the country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is not along the coast. This is more inland.
It's more inland, but the same situation when you're looking at like Kwabin Abaka, our tour guide. He has family property, beach access in Elmina.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at 3,000 for a plot of land,
mm-hmm.
beach access.
It's gone up quite a bit. I remember some people being told about some people buying beachfront property there in Winema for a couple of hundred, maybe $300-400 an acre or so, or a plot.
As a matter of fact, I've heard stories of when it used to be a few hundred per plot,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's now a few thousand per plot.
Mm-hmm.
The areas where you get a few hundred for a plot is when you go further out, like
mm-hmm.
into the middle of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually give a range that based on where you're going, it's anywhere from 500 to 5,000 per plot.
All right, for my Bitcoin people out there, I love you. I want you to be permanently happy. If Brother Bomani, if tomorrow they got one whole Bitcoin and they're able to catch that thing when it's at $17,000 at some point of the day and get $17,000 of fiat cash, American, that old Yankee dollar that everybody talk about is a fiat, but when you go to Africa, that fiat be making waves. They take that 17,000 and they go to Ghana, to the Cape Coast region, and they say, I want to live on the waterfront. What could they do with $17,000 cash? Not the building, just the land.
Yeah, definitely could acquire a few acres, get things cleared up, get things in place to this build a business enterprise.
A few acres on the beach? No way. In California, a few acres on the beach is going to cost you $8 to $9 million.
Yeah, so you might get it for about 1 acre.
On the beach. I bet you they, though, would remove all the coconut and palm trees, though. You wouldn't be having, they take them all down and take them with them, right?
No, I mean, if you need it there, they'll keep it there. So, yeah, I guess if they had somewhere they could just manufacture everything, they'll take it down. But no, it's just, it's their nature. You can keep it. Especially when you go right there into Cape Coast, all you see is just beach access, beachfront property with just nothing but coconut tree and palm trees, and I think about biodiesel, I think about sustainable living, I think about this being in that perfect environment where you can just live and be in nature and save a whole lot of money because you're not spending out and paying for this and paying for that.
That's right.
And you're actually eating what you're growing.
Eating from the ocean every day. And I remember when we were in Winema, there was this beautiful little river that meandered down and joined the coastline. That was the most remarkable piece of property. That was where Keity made his declaration, I got to live right there in Winema. But I remember that beautiful little river, and we see people coming out early in the morning in their boats. They park their boat and they go off into this little undeveloped area, and then they come out with big baskets of fresh papaya and bananas and mango and the harvest of the day. And that was what the people were living on every day. And then when we looked further past that area down the coastline for the next few miles, you could barely see anybody there. Brother Bomani, no way in the world anybody could get some land like that for $5,000. On the coast? Oh, what about the terrible hurricanes and the terrible plagues of mosquitoes and those occasional Africans with the sharpened teeth who will grab you, put you in a pot, and boil you up?
Well, the price of the land is going up, but definitely that's always a funny one about the folks that's going to put you in a pot and cook you, and it's so wild. But people actually believe that. But it's a peaceful environment. For the most part, people don't bother you. People will see you and they'll just be friendly or just admire you. But that's it's just peaceful. And I turn around and when I look at it's like when you type in Ghana, you see how you don't see nothing. There's no it's like peaceful country. Then you type in Jamaica, you see something different. But it's like black people in both countries, and the difference is Ghana is just straight up cultural, and it's the people are that are in this incredible culture tend to act very humane, and there's certain policies and things that are in the country where things don't just get crazy. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Hey, listen, I just looking at the clock. I mean, you and I could go on and on all day long talking about our profound love for traveling to the mother continent, and you want other people to love that as well. Brother Bomani, if they want to have this experience, they're going to have to know how to get in contact with you.
Yes, absolutely, family. You can connect with us by visiting our website, africafortheafricans.org. You can also reach me directly on my cell phone at 404-931-9429. The email address is afta2010@msn.com, and you can connect with me there on Facebook. Right there is Bomani, Bomani. And just reach out, family, and we'll get you connected with all information. And check out our YouTube videos. You'll find me on Bomani Tayimba.
Bomani, spell that for people who are stuck in English language and don't know how to spell African names.
Bomani, Bomani, and last name Tayimba, Tyehimba.
All right, Bomani, I'm so proud of what you do, and I look forward to it. Last question I want to ask you, because I believe you did, among the early Africa for the Africans trips, take a group to Southern Africa?
That's a good question. No, I just went with some co-workers in 2005 to South Africa, but I got the itinerary I'm working on for South Africa. You want to do a South Africa journey?
Yeah, because I'm really interested in this Quad Points area, right on the tip or the northern side of South Africa, where 4 countries join together: Zimbabwe, Namibia, Zambia, and Botswana. I'm really interested in there because I think that that's probably one of the richest areas on Earth.
Yeah, this is incredible. I'm looking at it right now. Wow.
I put the link up to that whole Quad Points area, and I think it's the next Black Wall Street. I'd love to go in there and become a billionaire. You know something? I'm almost going into another hour. There's one of the richest men in America. You're in technology. You know who Elon Musk is, right?
Name sound very familiar.
Yeah, Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City. One of America's new high-tech billionaires. He's building the Tesla automobiles and the Tesla power wall battery storage system. You know where he was born, Elon Musk?
Nigeria.
Pretoria, South Africa.
Oh, Pretoria.
He then relocates to America and becomes one of the richest men in America. Some people have asked the question, is Elon Musk an African American? He's rather swarthy looking. Somebody might have snuck in the woodpile. But you could say he's an African American, but he doesn't identify with black folks. But here's what I'm saying. He's born in Africa, comes to America, becomes a billionaire multi-times over. Can almost do anything he wants. He's building spaceships that the boosters land themselves and come back down and get used again. What's to stop you and I, born in America, from moving to Africa and becoming billionaires, landing space rockets and building Tesla electric cars? What's to stop you and I from doing that, Bomani?
Yes, that's the main point, Kidi, is that nothing is stopping any of us, and that's the thing that's been incredible. Just making moves and doing certain things in Africa. No one just like been in opposition to stop us from doing what we, the things we're doing. I mean, and we're not doing anything wrong or illegal that makes it even simpler. But people just don't get in your way if you're trying to do something progressive like that. Mm-hmm. But it'll be ideal if more and more of us could put our resources together and do the research in different countries and start investing, and the returns will be nice, and plus you also secure a future for yourself in the African continent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, brother, let's imagine great things. I want to thank you so much for coming on regularly to your LIB radio and delivering these very powerful lessons about the future that we would encourage our people to build for themselves and for their family. Brother, I'm so proud to be associated with you and Africa for the Africans. Your final thoughts?
Yes, final thoughts, family. Check out our website, Facebook, YouTube page, and just look at the details. Reach out to me, and I can connect and share with you, the world of this, traveling, living, and doing business, there in countries like Ghana. Mm-hmm.
All right, and on that note, Brother Bomani, we're out of here for today's broadcast. For anybody out there listening, Africa for the Africans.org, that's where you want to go to learn more about your travels to the mother continent, about your ability to invest and find partners for building the businesses that will sustain not just your family, not just your generation, but countless generations, intergenerational wealth. That's what we're obsessed with. And that's what we're going to be doing on LIB Radio. If you missed any portion, did you have something else?
Oh, no, let's say take care, family.
All right, guidance and protection, my brother. If you missed anything of today's conversation, do contact us or go to our website. That's what I'm saying, at libradio.com/7MAC, and that's going to get you access to our catalog there on LIB Radio, today's conversation, and much, much more. And on that note, we are out of here for today. Do tune in tomorrow, Thursday morning, with the Ankaku. We'll be back with another round of Mastering Monetization. I'm going to finish the week with this long, dutiful expose of this phenomena, this narrative called Africa Rising. Now you know, but I can assure you, there is so much more to know. On your favorite, we aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV, and livinginblank.com. Peace, y'all.